Hello, everyone. Yes, it's me. You clicked, and here I am. So much more convenient than rubbing a bottle and expecting a genie, really. And I'm so much funnier, because stuff that never gets old is just that. It's funny. It's funny because it reminds us of all the things we did or almost did and hopefully got away with, or didn't get away with, but survived. And it's the survival that I'm going to talk to you about today. This piece that I'm going to do for you was kind of an accident. It came about when I was sitting around with a bunch of people I used to work with when I was a bartender, and we were talking about the most humiliating things that have ever happened to us. And then, all of a sudden, we all realized that we had shared a similar experience. And we laughed and laughed and laughed and drank far too much and then paid the price the next day. The thing about this piece is that it's a little long to read. It's a little long to perform. But when there's an audience there, it may very well just be the best time ever. So I hope you like it. It's about what every woman on the planet goes through every year when she goes to the doctor for her annual internal exam. I know, brace yourselves. I called it effort. And that should be self-explanatory, really. Okay, here we go. There are a lot of things that separate men from women. For one thing, women are famous for making an effort. We do it in lots of ways, and the most extravagant is pregnancy. And pregnancy is one of those things you can't begin to understand until you do it yourself. Not that you can actually do it yourself, but you get the idea. In today's enlightened society, pregnancy is a fairly big deal, hyped out of all proportion. I mean, back in the good old days when nobody thought much about it, women got pregnant, and then after the required number of months, they just had the baby. No fuss, no muss, just stroll off behind the thatched hut, and in no time you were ready to get back to braiding vines or whatever it was that we girls did back then for laughs. Now, of course, we know much better. Silly us, we say, and we get caught up in all sorts of schemes. One of the most fascinating is the baby doctor. What a scam. These people go to medical school for a few years, and then after graduating, instead of going out and getting jobs, they spend all their time standing around looking omniscient, all the while a perfectly natural phenomenon is taking place more or less automatically. Oh, I know. When something goes wrong, everyone is thrilled to have the baby doctor on hand, but excuse me, is it my imagination, or do they still claim that they are practicing? Personally, I'd prefer to wait until they got it right before I left any major decisions to them, but then, that's me. And of course, they only get away with it because we let them, because we have all helped create this aura of mystique that surrounds them. I mean, take your typical checkup as an example. You see, gentlemen, every so often we girls go to a baby doctor, even when we're not pregnant, just to make sure that everything is okay down there. To begin with, you sign in with the nurse. Then you sit around reading out-of-date magazines for the 40 minutes that they are behind today. You weigh in at a scale that persists in listing you as 3 inches too short for your weight. Then you go into this little room where you climb out of your clothes and into a paper sheet, and then you crawl up onto this padded diving board thing to await the arrival of the divine one. On the walls are all sorts of yummy articles that you've just been dying to read. Eventually, the nurse enters. "Doctor," she says in that funny shorthand they have, "is not in today." "Ah," you reply, never having perceived the procedure as a self-serve kind of thing. Nurse continues, She's a wild thing once she gets going. Replacement doctor will see you. Great! You lie and watch her leave. The door opens again and, oh God, in comes a dream walking. It is Adonis himself, in a white lab coat that comes a poor second to the whiteness of his perfect teeth. He smiles kindly. You smile back bravely and try to think of a really good reason to leave right now. Because if you don't leave right now, the next 20 minutes is going to be an agony you wouldn't wish on the girl who stole your date at the senior prom. And I mean, how wrong could things possibly be down there? Nothing has actually fallen out, has it? Too late. Doctor has sat down on the little stool, and in a chatty tone, his teeth blinding you with their brilliance, he says the dreaded phrase. Lie back, he says, and push to me. Now, push to me may not be familiar to you. I can't think why, but it's okay. I will tell you. In the first place, it is not an easy thing, this peering into the insides of a fully grown woman, and so to eliminate all difficulty for the doctor, who is after all the only person whose comfort we are concerned with here, it has been decreed that women will lie flat on their backs on narrow tables with the heels of their feet, as opposed to the heels of their hands, which would cause no end of confusion, stuck into raised metal loops, which are situated at either side of the far end of the table. With me so far? Good. At this point, Doctor perches on that small stool, situated at the far end of the table, and in a casual tone requests that the lady lying flat on her back with her feet in the air abandon completely every instinct which has made her the delightful creature she is today. To comply with his wishes, she must spread her legs wide, bend her knees deep, and slide as far down the table toward him as is humanly possible, without actually falling to the floor, and in the process snapping her feet off at the ankles. Once she has arrived, blushing furiously and staring at the ceiling tiles for all she is worth, she hears it again. Very good, says Doctor, possibly even humming softly to himself. Now, push to me. Sometimes he adds a little humor. Relax, he says, with a perfectly straight face. Push to me and relax. Absolutely, because what's coming next makes relaxing one of those hypothetical things that are real interesting to discuss but never actually happen in real life. Because he's going to take this metal thing out of the little freezer he keeps under the table, and then he's going to place it where the hand of man was never meant to go in friendship, much less when it was carrying weapons. And once he gets it there, wherever that is, he starts fussing with it. And before you know it, it starts changing shape. Often, at this point, Doctor will say, you may feel a little discomfort. You find yourself holding back from replying, no shit, in a clear and carrying tone, because it seems quite probable that shouting while having this thing lodged inside you could cause permanent damage. Eventually, he takes it away, and you are very grateful. But wait, there's more. Having shoved everything out of the way of his instrument of torture, Doctor now wants to make sure that everything is back in its proper place. Probably he's a neat freak at home, too. Fascinated, like a rabbit watching a snake, you see him pull on a pair of surgical gloves. Is there to be no mercy, you mutter? No, apparently not. This second intrusion underway, Doctor happily pokes and prods at your stomach from both directions simultaneously, saying witty things like, everything seems to be there, and you find yourself replying inanely, well, that's a relief. Now, the difference between a very new doctor and an older experienced one, is not unlike that joke about the old bull and the young bull facing a herd of cows. What is at stake here is a basic understanding of the laws of physics, or possibly gravity. You'll know the one I mean in a minute. Because it is the older, wiser doctor who understands the value of caution, while the younger, newer doctor does not. And today, this young Adonis, like the young bull in the story, is about to learn. Satisfied that all is right in your inner world, Doctor removes his hand briskly and gives your tummy a friendly pat. And with a mischievous twinkle, says down into your nether parts, "You're as sound as a bell," which is the exact moment when all the laws of physics, gravity, and possibly even thermodynamics come into play. And you break wind. You know, the internal examination is not a chatty event at the best of times, but you are breaking all existing records now. You lie there, hoping a raging disease will take you, trying to think of the mot juste to cover the situation. You hear nothing further from the other end of the table. As far as you can tell, Doctor is simply staying where he is until his eyes uncross and his tie stops changing color. Eventually, the gods who stayed up on Olympus stop laughing hysterically and take pity on their mortal brother. They send Nurse in to ask some utterly pointless question, thus freeing both of you from their wicked spell. Later, oh, much, much later, when you have stopped randomly passing out from shame, you find that you too can smile. Because you don't have to go back for another whole year, do you? While he, on the other hand, has 5 more women to see today. And then he has to go back and do it all over again tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow after that. And if he does it, and he doesn't call in sick, not once, well now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's what I'd call making an effort. Wouldn't you? Thanks for listening, my loves. I'll catch you next time.